the school, you know what I'm saying? I have 3 seconds before I say, oh, now I don't know what to say. Okay, let's do it this way. The 3 chapters, I made 1 chapter and I worked on it and I sent you the PowerPoint in the 68 slides, so it's still a lot. But I thought it was more black and white because it's all about statutory law, the Revised Model Business Act. And what they're trying to do is some kind of expectation of behavior, how business should behave. Remember, always go back to that ethics again, trying to legalize it, because as soon as you see anything that is ACT Act, it's not necessarily good for the individual corporation, but that's what most corporations should be dealing with. Now, we had the first chapter before about entrepreneurship, you know, what kind of corporation you should, and that was more like the different kinds of corporation and the difference of taxation. Especially limited LLC today is very, very good, except that not all the state has the same thing, but very similar, because you can have family members or people from other countries. Corporation that we're going to learn today, you cannot have, they have to be citizens of the United States. So this is why LLC is very interesting, because you still have limited liability, but you can have family members to come from another country as investor, as working in it. You know, you don't have to go through all the other stuff. And of course, then later on, you can also you know, go to the immigration and get them a green card because you are sponsoring them, which is, you know, something that it's really great for people that wants their family to come to this country and you have a business. So these are the things that you see LLC really growing very much. Okay, I made an outline because I want you all the time to remember, have a chart or have an image of what we are learning about. When we're learning about corporation here, and I put the nature and classification. I don't know if you remember, we had the nature of contract, executory contract, executive contract, unilateral, and we have the same thing. There are so many types of corporation. If you think about it, corporation is like you're going to have a baby, which is even nicer because you don't have to stay up at night to change diapers. So you have to go to New Jersey to Secretary of State of Treasury, and you go there, and usually, and it's, you have a baby. So when you start having this person to take care of it, this identity, it's completely separate from you. And it's so important, and this is where I want you to see the most important thing is, what do you want to do with this corporation? I want you to imagine, you give birth to this person, you have to have a name, and that's why at the beginning I put nature and corporation. And of course, your chapter summary is very good because it gives you like at least seven of them. First of all, you have to have name. That makes up the name of the parties that's going to be in charge of the corporation. You have to have the taxation. Just like when you have a baby, next thing you know, you have taxation, deduction. So if you want to have a baby, you want to have a baby at the end of December so that then you get refund for the whole year. Instead, in January, if you have the baby, you have to pay for the baby the whole year. So it's better to have the baby at the end of the year so that you get money for. These are the logic that I want you to see. They're so important because I'm going into the termination. Next thing you have Tort and Criminal Act. The corporation does. And you know what's so sad about it? We have statute. Because a corporation, who in the corporation hurt you? Who in the corporation poisoned Passaic River, for example? That's a criminal action. You know, it's a bunch of people, and this is why I don't know if you remember last year we had the United Citizen case. The United Citizen case took the election board to court and went all the way to Supreme Court because they felt that the corporation should not be limited in spending money when they want to have a candidate become president or senators, anything like that. And the reasoning was very interesting, the fact that the corporation is a person. But in the case, and I don't know if you had the time because that's not your area, but you see all the different justices saying, wait a minute, what's the corporation? Right now, it's a legal entity under the Constitution. But is it really? Because there's a lot of people in a corporation. And just because the corporation, I don't know, Merck or anyone, a bank or anything like that wants to donate toward a certain candidate, does not mean that everybody in that corporation wants that candidate to be winning. So this is where they were arguing little things like that you don't see that so much in the opinion of the final decision. And however, it was so interesting because you know that a corporation, especially a big one, has a lot more money, a lot more investors, a lot more funds, much deal finances than a small corporation or an LLC. So does it really have, yes, there is freedom of speech because nobody should restrain you. No government should put a limit in anything. They should not put a limit where you work. They should not put a limit to how much you spend. They should not limit for you to get an education. They should not limit any of this stuff. However, is it really give you equal opportunity? Because to this day, we start questioning really what is a corporation. What is a corporation? So what they do then is they're making a statute. They're making a statute. Because the statute says that you're not supposed to pollute, you're going to be a criminal. But who pays for it? Who pays for it? Again, who pays for it? It has to come from what? The corporation income. The corporation income, even it has to be from the, and you see how the double taxation, that's so important because we cannot put the corporation in jail. When they commit a crime, how are you going to put the corporation in jail? Now, when I was a corporate attorney, it was very interesting because whenever we had a form to fill out who's in charge of certain area, we never put the name of the president. Usually it was the manager. And I was ethical enough to call him up and says, I hope you're getting paid for it because if we have a spill or if we have anything to do with the environment, you get the phone call, not the president. And he makes 3 or 4 times more the money than the president doesn't even know what it is. So the point is who is the one that's going to pay for it? Who's the one? So this is why many times when a corporation does something illegal or criminal or civil, it's really always money. And this is why corporations settle the cases out of court because it's much cheaper. And I want you to remember that not that it's ethical, but they try, at least we try. They're going to do something knowing that somebody's going to get hurt. They're going to terminate people knowing that some of the people might file a suit against the corporation. They know all this stuff because we're not perfect. We're not perfect. We always, whether it's intentionally or non-intentionally, like careless, we do make mistake. But they also know that if they do something and take a chance, which is risk, and they're going to make money, comparing settling the suit, this is nothing, comparing the profit they make. And the corporation main point is to make what? Profit. Do they have to make it in an ethical manner? Yes. But again, who's the corporation? If I am the vice president, or if I am one of the board of directors, and they argue. They argue. I remember even as an attorney when we used to go with the president to go over the taxation, and you can see, well, so how about if we try this? And the point was used to coming, which decision hurt the least? That's what was the thing. This decision we're making, can we terminate less people? Can we pay less penalty? Can we do this? Can we do that? This is so interesting. Many times because of that, they would hire somebody outside, like a consultant. This is why we got into trouble with the accounting and Enron. Because this way, if they do something, it's not just me that I made the decision, but also the accounting company can be at fault, and that is going to help us not to be as liable as if we are alone. But I want you to remember that, because the corporation is a person and it's a multiple people, and it's very hard to have everybody in your team to agree the same way. And not everybody has the same ethics. And this is why at the beginning I will share to you, if you're discussing or arguing the consequences, that your corporation might have to be closed down because there are too many significant pollution, those kind of things, then you say, okay, but we're not going to do that. But then for the good of society, maybe we should close down the company because we cannot continue to pollute. So you see, these are the ethical arguments that board of directors, shareholders have to argue. And often enough, there are certain cases that come up that the shareholders don't have to know. Don't have to know. And there are situations, I'm sure, that even if you want to think in a smaller situation, there are situations that you make decision and you do something that you don't think your spouse should know, because why bothering them, you know? It's just, it's not, they will not understand. And the corporation does the same thing. And this is the problem we have, because somebody says, you know, let's not bother to do that. Let's not tell the shareholders, because if the shareholders knows that we are significant polluter, for example, they might not want to invest money anymore on a project, because, you know, what's the matter with us, that we don't comply with the law, because we still have to comply with the law. That seems to be the beginning, that we may be ethical. But if you start seeing the corporation as an outside person, you know, and you have to now help this person, and this person is going to become independent from you because you appointed this person to be there, then you have to think of who's going to pay for it, how they're going to pay the bills, how they're going to do this, you start having an idea of all the different steps that you might have to have prepared. That's why I made the outline, because the chapter summary is very good, and also you have the act that tells you all procedures, and you have to follow the procedures. Paperwork, and paperwork. So classification is very good like that too. I mean, there's about 7. You have public and private corporation. You have nonprofit corporation, which sometimes there's questions about that, because they get money receiving from people donation, and some corporations do unethical things. They're nonprofit because they just increase the income of the people. So there's never profit. So they have to be auditing all the time by the government. Government, we have the same problem. We have to, you know, it's so sad, because I wish we wouldn't have all these rules and regulation. And like I shared with you already, if we have these rules and regulation, that means what? Basically, we are selfish. Basically, I'm number one. This is why we have all these terms here in the corporation, because the corporation is not really one person. The corporation is a lot more than one person, especially a big corporation. Then you have to what? Corporate formation and powers. Who has the powers to do what? That is so important. And of course, you have to form the corporation. You have to follow these different steps to form this corporation. You have to have the names. I know usually it's 3 names, hoping that the name that you like is important. But nowadays, you have to be careful, because you might end up with the second name. Sometimes even an S makes a difference. You have to pay for it, almost like giving a birth certificate. You have to have the location. You have to know what is the intention, it's almost like personality, you know, in the house. You know, this corporation is going to do this, and there's going to be a manufacturer company. Then they want to know what kind of manufacturer, how you're going to do it. Then you have, oh my goodness, they're very detailed, very detailed. It's almost like, I don't know, some of you experienced that, but I remember when I had my first baby, you look for the little wrinkles in those little fingers. You're looking for the little earrings. You're looking for. So when you have a corporation, then you start looking. Okay, what do I want to do now with this corporation? You know, and there's a lot of detail, because it becomes a person under the law. Now remember, the Constitution protects the corporation against government. However, statutes protects the good of society. And the statute comes from Congress or legislation. And that is government. And corporations are very regulated. And they're going to have more rules and regulation. And the other thing that you want to think in a corporation is almost like, you know, employees. Are they legal or illegal? I mean, it's almost like you're having people over your house. Do you want to have those friends in your house? You don't want to have your friends, because maybe then you're going to be liable if they get hurt. It's so similar how to have this other person. So that's why I put the powers. Very important. Who's in charge? You have to have their articles. You have to have that agreement. They call it articles. And many people don't think about it, because they're so excited that they're going to have a corporation, and they have shareholders, because you have to get money from shareholders to start the corporation. And next thing you know, you have to have somebody to manage the corporation, because you cannot do everything. You can be the shareholders, but sometimes the shareholders also member of the board of directors, but not necessarily. And because of the balance. And of course, you know that the shareholders that invest more money, he's going to have more powers. And of course, according to the law, no. But there's a tendency, we as human, right away to say, oh, my goodness, he's 60% of the share, I guess I better behave. We do that. Under the law, it doesn't. And this is why we have the cases, because you see some of these thinking that, because I am so little, maybe I have nothing to say, nothing to do. No, according to the Act, equal opportunity, equal treatment, that's so important. But we have a tendency to think because somebody has more degrees than you that they're what? Smarter. That doesn't mean that at all. We had a case of a lady that was going, her name, and she had HS next to her name. We couldn't figure out what HS was. Well, after a couple of years, finally somebody went to court, because sometimes you don't have the time to take people to court. You know what I'm saying? It was high school degree. Everybody saw these letters and nobody questioned it because they thought it must be, a degree, human something. And, somebody did say, what is going on here with this HS? So I never heard of this because after a while you see, I see JD, I see PhD, I see MS, I see, but this HS, so the more she goes around, especially with the internet, all at once is, okay, let's stop here. Let's find out what it is. High school diploma. I thought that was interesting. Okay, which is true. I mean, you do have it. So powers is very important. Power is very important. Power is very important. And again, your chapter summary, I put everything in one PowerPoint because I think I want you to see one step at a time. Here we have incorporation procedures. The article of incorporation, that's the agreement that you have to have. Who's going to take care of when I die? Who's going to take care of when I get sick? Who's going to go here? Very important. We have situation at the corporate level, when I was a corporate attorney, that some people who signed documents that they didn't have the authority. Everything went fine for years until somebody stopped. Liability. All at once, the corporation is getting sued. The corporation sends the paper to the law department right away. The law department says, what happened here? So we have to investigate who's doing it. And of course, we don't want to be responsible. One of the first things I want you to know, we're always going to try to limit the liability. Remember I shared with you the contract? We have contracts coming out of years. I cannot believe sometimes how we go on and do business, but I appreciate it because if we would do business only when the contract is perfect, we wouldn't do anything. So we have to do that. And of course, as soon as you want to get out of the situation, contractual relationship, then you start thinking, okay, maybe I was misrepresented. Maybe I was confused. And this is and the same thing over here. You're going to see the company. And we had the obligation then to go through all this document and to find out, are we really liable? Well, we find out that some of the salesperson were signing some papers that they didn't have the authority. Why? Because we had how much money you can spend. And if somebody was like a director and went over and signed the invoice that cost way too much money, he doesn't have the power. Therefore what? We're not liable. He didn't have the power. And that was a big case that we had to do that because, if it's only $10, we don't bother. But when it's a lot of money, we do. So this thing of the power is who's going to do what? And I'm sorry to say this to you, just because it's a family member does not mean you can trust a person. Please. Again, it's not a family thing as much as it's a corporation. And I know we have C corporation, which is usually families. We don't have it as much anymore as we used to. But those are the things that I want to see are important. Corporate financing. Okay, now we have this new person. And there were people, 2, 3, 4, 5 people. In LLC, it's only 2. In a corporation, you need shareholders, no more than 100. So, okay, who's doing what and where? Well, I'm going to put money, this is what. Everybody has it. And then, of course, who's going to take care of this money? Who's going to do it? And you have stock and you have bonds. And then, of course, in the book, it goes into the name of the different stocks and stuff like that. But I want you to understand is where this money is going to come from. Stock or bonds. And you hear something now, the problem we have with Europe, the Europe. bonds, and next thing you know, they want people to buy bonds, and next thing you know, the value of the bonds went down because there's no money. I mean, I feel so sad sometimes. But again, it's very difficult because you need cash, you need money to do. Nobody's going to sell or do anything or start working without getting some kind of reward for what they're doing. And there was a couple of students in NJT, I remember, that they started their own company, and boy, at the beginning, for 6 months, no income, no paycheck. Well, they're students, they live with their parents, that's fine. Now, the other day, she gave me a contract. One of the things was stock option. It was very interesting, because if next thing you know what happens with all the money that comes in now, what can we do here? Maybe I can put money in and then get dividend, It's very interesting situation. And also I want you to know, if you ever want to become a lawyer, you have different lawyers, experts in different area. You have it. And most of you are going to be more in finance, because you're going to be dealing with people that comes with accounting. Now, corporate management. So the shareholders are the owners. The board of directors is what? They write policies. They what? The board of directors also does what? They make a decision. They really make a decision. Most of us would call it policy, I guess, because they're the one that set up all the guidelines, what to do with this. And of course, the CEO or the officers and manager do what? You see, directors and officers, what do? They manage the corporation, not the shareholders. This is why there had been cases that came up many times where the directors and the officers did something illegal, and the question come up, should the shareholders know about it? And the court says, well, the shareholders, they don't even know how the corporation is managed. They have no idea outside that they're investing money on the corporation. And there's problem because of that. You see that different state has different situation because case law is state. It's, local thing. But it's so interesting because if you think about it, many times, like even the president of the university, he really does not know that we had no electricity or we're freezing in this class. He has no idea. And if you're asking, would you please help me to, and I noticed that many times, if you ask any question, they really do not, sometimes even the dean of the school, he has an idea the courses is going on, he has an idea how many students, but he has no idea of all the different work that takes, to set up a schedule for the classes. He has not. The only thing he's thinking, get more students. I have to keep the budget. I have to get the budget. And that's what we hear at the faculty meeting, which is very, but you see corporate management. You see that corporate financing, management, powers. Who has the authority to do what? What kind of corporation? What classify it? Very important. And again, if you use an example of having children, is it a boy or is it a girl? Does it have 2 legs and 2 hands? That's one of the first things you notice, things like that, And then the doctor tells you, I don't think he's going to do well. Yes, he's going to do well. Oh, he has long legs. Oh, he's going to be a good athlete. So you hear people say, we do the same thing with corporation. When we give birth to a corporation, what kind of corporation we want it to be? Small one, big one. We want to be a S corporation, a C corporation, because there are different kinds. And you see it. It's the one that I share with you. And their names, because you give a name to a baby, just like you give a name to a corporation. You don't say, this is why sometimes I hear people say, oh, the dog, you went there. Doesn't the dog have a name? I mean, we do that. The corporation, the same thing. What kind of corporation? Is it a boy or a girl in a way? And then you pick the names of the situation. So any questions about this? Because I want to go to the problem to see when the problems arise in law officer. Then they are the owner. Boy, oh boy, we like them because they're the one with the money. They're the one with the money. And it's interesting, but boy, when you have the money, people are nicer to you. I don't think we should do that, but usually we do, especially when they're giving us money. Especially when they give us money. Because I know just the other day we got into discussion, and one of my sons asking me, how much are valuable, Mom, if we kill you? This is love. This is real love. I says, I have no idea because I'm so busy. Well, it would be nice to know whether you're worth dead or alive. I say, thank you so much. There's nothing like, love. You know what I'm saying? But in a way, you do think of those things. You do think like, this person is a good supporter. And you hear that. Charity, the same thing. Nonprofit. Oh, this person is really a good, supporter. He's the one that we can rely on the money. We can do this. We can, and we depend on those people. We depend on those people to support us. So they have they have power, but they don't know all the stuff going on because we don't want to look bad to them. So when we're going to report something here, we have to be this is why you have the duty here. The directors and the officer, oh my goodness, loyalty. The corporate veil, do you know how many times people does that? And the corporate veil is very interesting because, boy, if I don't have liability and I can make the corporation liable, that's great. Then I can take a lot more risk, can I? Because somebody else is paying for it. So next thing you know, the court says, wait a minute, something is wrong here. We're going to have to what? Make the directors liable. And it's a problem because when a director gets paid a lot of money, he's protecting whose interest? His own. His own. Especially when you used to make $300,000 a year. And next thing you know, the corporation might, close down or might this. You think twice. You're trying to figure, okay, how can I make it look that the corporation does not have to close down? And I remember we had the same thing in our situation, budget cutting down. Every department had to write a paper, a proposal why they should not be what? Eliminated. All at once we were degraded. Oh my gosh, you can eliminate human resources but not the law department. And the human resources, you can eliminate the law department because we can do, we know the laws, we have the vice president, he's an attorney. I mean, it's amazing when somebody asks you, and every company does that. They want to know, give me the purpose, give me the reason why I should keep you or why I should, and of course you don't know, you just, you all at once you have to think how great you are and stuff like that, and I don't know if that's ethical either. But these are and you saw that, you saw loyalty. And then we have a problem because in employment law, like we're learning, yes, okay, I have a duty of loyalty, but then what about this whistleblower? And of course now even the IRS, you can do that too. You call the IRS, oh, we're going to have cases that are coming up. I already can see that. Especially people that wants to get divorced. Call up the IRS. My husband was cheating on the income taxes. Oh boy, that would be great. IRS right away, terminate that marriage quick. You don't have to go 3-4 years. But I mean, think about this. And then who's the person that knows best that's going on in the company, especially a higher level? This is what happened with Enron. We had a whistleblower. We had a whistleblower. And you're going to have, as an accountant, you're going to have a problem. Because you have to have duty or loyalty. But at the same time, if you see corruption, if you see somebody that's going to ask you to, well, can you add this, can you change this? Because sometimes with numbers, we can do little things. And then you have to think, okay, what's the consequences by me changing these numbers? How many people is going to get hurt? You have to think of all those things. And if you cannot deal with it, then you have to resign. Or to make sure that you definitely have to resign, to make sure what? That this doesn't continue because all the people that's going to get hurt, the whistleblower is protecting you. And of course, if they do any damages against government, you are going to be compensated 25%. Because as soon as a corporation, private corporation, hurts us, society, and the money hurts us because they're wasting money instead of using it for research or using it for the people or the product or the manufacturer. They want to cut down in certain research so that they can spend more money for themselves. If you do these things like that, the government, it's us. It's taxpayer money. And that's why they say with all the money that you cheated the government, it's only fair to give 25% to the person that whistled. And there's a problem there. There's a problem because you're going to lose the job. You're going to lose the job. There's no question about it. and you might not be able to find another one. Maybe you can write a book, because today everybody writes a book, and I say, you know, oh, like our former governor in California now writes a book. Okay. How about all the time he cheated his wife? In addition to the wife. Okay, so, and you know what? There were lines of people buying the book. What kind of behavior we encourage? Bottom line, money. Who cares? I make my money and change country. You know? We do that. And I thought, oh gosh. But think about this. It's very important. So they own it. And this is where, and of course here, there's been time that one shareholder, we call Directive Suit, he can, on behalf of the corporation, he can sue. But I know cases that if there's only one, that might not be enough. And if he decides to sue the corporation on behalf of the corporation because he knows one of the board of directors or even some shareholders, it has to be only limited to the corporation business. Not character, not something, constantly has something to do with the income of the corporation and not because behavior, doing something, traveling, expense account, or anything like that. And I remember this particular case, I thought, you know, they should have stopped even that. Nope. All the other shareholders has to agree also that the corporation is at fault, or the director is at fault, or an officer. There has to be more than just one. Very interesting because of that. I did not necessarily agree. So, okay, next thing you know, you have a corporation and you decide to merge, or you decide to buy another one to make it bigger. You're going to have that. And we do this in our regular life. Again, just as a person, you're going to go through all this thing. You know, you're going to through it. Then you're going to have, I bought a small house first when I had one baby, then a second one. By the time the fourth one comes, we had to get a bigger one. So what do? You're going to sell something. This is the same thing. You have different words. Merger. Now, Givaudan, we did merge with other company because we were not doing too well, and was flavors and perfume. So next thing you know, we bought a company in Bergen County, and we became, and the thing that was so interesting, there was more fight about the name. Yeah, like, Givaudan wanted to keep their name, and Roar wanted to keep their name, so we had Givaudan-Roar. And sometimes the names causes more problem than everything else. But then we had to, because as soon as you change names, then you have to notify all the vendors, because all at once what happens, all the contracts that you have within that corporation, you have to renew the contract. You have to say, is it okay for you, because now we're going to be like a different corporation. And acquisition is, and the same thing is acquisition, you buy something new. You buy something new, you acquire. But then whose name are you going to use? And the book is very good to the different acquisition and how takeovers and stuff like that. It's nasty, but we do the same thing with the regular life. You want to buy something, negotiating prices, and who has the power. And the thing that used to bother me sometimes as a corporate attorney is that we merged with this company, we kept both names, and then who needs two human resources department? And of course, what you hear right away, oh, they're not going to terminate anybody. That's a lie. That's a lie, because then as an attorney, I knew the employees, I knew the human resource, and I can give you that example. I knew the people at the human resource department. We're in the same floor because they had help from us terminating people, hiring people. We had to look up into all kinds of stuff. Next thing you know, what happens? The people are terminated. And not all of them, few of them, okay? Then she calls me up and she says to me, can you give me a paper of because they changed all the job description. Knowing that is the same job descriptions of before, just different words. Okay, so we do that. We did it. It's a new company. We're merging. We're not anymore just Givaudan. Now we're Givaudan-Roar. That was so interesting because it's true. So we change everything. We change the job description. You're going to do this, and it looks like, but in reality, it was the same kind of work. So she wants me to help her because she has a lot of hard time got another job. She was over 40 years old. So next thing you know, I said, I cannot do that to you. Knowing that, I could not do that. I mean, I could have gone to the human resources and take it. I mean, I'm the one that even discusses some of the job description, you know, changing words and stuff like that. And it was very difficult for me because I knew that the same job that she used to do, the new person from the other company now is doing it. Maybe the president like her better, maybe the directors like it better, maybe the manager or the vice president of the department like it. I have no idea. That was not for me to question. But I want you to see that this is all the question. And of course, as soon as there's a problem, you go into court to resolve it because there's a lot of money involved, a lot of people involved. And then what happens? They go back to what? The Revised Model Business Act. What does it say? And sometimes the shareholder says, I'm not the owner because I only have 2% of the share. Yes, you are the owner, you know, because they don't want to be liable. I mean, the bottom line is we do not want to be liable. And therefore, we're going to try to use everything possible we can not to be liable. We change the words. You know, we had a big discussion this morning about public use and public interest. And I shared with you about the case in New York now that, you know, the Treasury Department writes a check to settle a case between two adults, sexual harassment. And he says, what? He doesn't say, oh, I made a mistake. I should have been more careful. He was negligent. He was careless. I'm sure he did not do it on purpose. He probably is writing checks, and here comes another check, you know, because I see the partner at the law office. You know, sometimes I'm kidding him and says, you know, do you read those checks? He goes, no, good. Because I'm thinking, oh, maybe I put in my blank check, you know, just, you know, oh, this is just, you know, she has to go to the bank, so she wants me to sign all this check. And I said, do you know, he says, no, not all of them. Oh, good, thank you. You know, I mean, and then he looks at me like, well, I will start reading it now. You know, but I mean, and can you imagine something like the Treasury in New York City? They have a lot more checks than our little tiny law office. And it was, but the thing that I liked it, what was the response when he was asked? Did he say, I made a mistake, I was negligent? No, he says what? No, I didn't do anything wrong, it was just mishandling. I thought only a lawyer can think of that. Only a lawyer can think of another word that, you know, doesn't sound as bad or not as liable or anything like that. But the whole thing is liability. The whole thing is liability. And in that case, it will be the city of New York because he's an employee. And of course, you always come to the death, a death of the family, and that is the death of a corporation, termination. And one of the things that is very interesting, remember, a big corporation, they have their own lawyers, they know to do all this stuff. But sometimes I had friends of mine that would start a corporation, especially after they retired, to do consulting work. And they go all the trouble to start a corporation, everything else. And then next thing you know, they decided to stop because forget it, they really are getting tired. And this particular friends of mine, that they moved to another state. And next thing you know, the corporation was still what? Alive in New Jersey. And the next thing you know, he's getting in papers in Delaware. So he calls me up and he goes, I don't do anything with the corporation anymore. I moved to another state. I says, yes, but you left the baby over here. So you have to tell, you know what? Oh, you're going to send it, adapt it to another company or something. So you have to let them know that this thing's going to die. You have to fill out paper. You have to let them know I don't exist anymore. We take it for granted because we don't earn any money anymore and we don't have any business, and that means, you know, I don't have to deal with it. Yes, you do. It's very important because really we do not own anything. Please remember that. Shareholders really do not own anything. I really do not own the house, even after it's paid off with the mortgage. It's all of the state. It's a privilege. We really don't. As soon as you have to file any paper with the court, that means what? The court is government. They want to keep track of everything you do. Everything you do. oh yes, you have the freedom to change your name, but you better go to the court to do it. Because my husband did not like his first name Miles. He liked Mike. And now he has a lot of problem because he continued to sign his checks Mike. And the other day he said, oh, I can't believe it, stupid bank. Oh, I says, why? Well, you know how many years I've been going to the bank and they know me as Mike now because, you know, it was Mike, somebody questioning that maybe Mike. Yeah. So he's mad at the bank, like they should know. You know what I'm saying? They should know. Somebody wrote Miles and they didn't want to cash him the check. I says, yeah, you don't look like a Miles, I guess. You know, well, they know me and this and now I don't have to, you know, and we take for granted sometimes this is big now. It's not like a small town. But even that, the bank is concerned because why? If they're going to cash the check and it's Miles and it's not Miles, who's going to be in trouble? You are. You had the banking thing. You know, like all at once they have somebody auditing their report just statement like we do it. So does he understand how very particular this whole thing is and not necessarily, but see the picture of this thing of setting up the corporation and how involved it is? Okay. Any questions about this outline? Because it's pretty much black and white. Just that there is a lot of terms. We don't even use those terms. But you have to use it for your CPA. I don't know how you can do that. I don't know how you, that's why I give you open book all the time, because I think maybe the more you read it, the more you see it, after a while you start saying, oh yeah, I remember that word. You know what I'm saying? And that's all you're going to need most of it. You're going to need to give them advice to some of your client that comes. But you know, today with the internet, when you put down corporation on Google, I'm sure they have all kinds of stuff where you have to do, even forms. So this is why I'm saying, but at least you have to know where to look. You have to find out where to go things. There was a student that came over yesterday and asked me some question. I says, you know, try to look on Google the word residency, because that's another thing. The corporation then has to be 1 year residence in the state. And did you find that interesting? Like the local corporation is what? Domestic. But if the corporation is formed in Delaware, it's what? Foreigner. And then the one that is on another nation is what? Alien. Do you know the people that are not here legally, they are called alien? I have a neighbor of mine, she has a green card, and the only reason now she wants to become an American citizen is because the husband they're older, both retire, and he has a lot of money, and she found out if she continues to be an alien, the money cannot be automatically switched to her. So now she's becoming an American citizen because she wants the money. Real love purposes, you know what I'm saying? Oh, but you know, this is, at least she was honest, and she says to me, I can't believe it, they call me alien. I said, well, you are. You know? Oh, my alien? I said, yes, you're out of space, you're not here. You know, they're out of space. But and I thought that's something that we take for granted, because how many times we say what? A corporation in Italy is what? A foreigner? It's not. You better off say international, because then you don't accuse anybody of being an alien, because we think of alien, somebody out of space, you know, from Mars or something like that. Any other questions? No question. Good. Let's go over the problem, because I know you know the answer already. Let's go over the problem. Which one you want to do? First the end of the chapter, or the problem, the real case? Which is easier for you? Oh, I have the midterms. All of you? No, because then you're not going to think about it. All of you passed. Some of them, I'm going to leave it up to you, but all of you did well, okay? And there was one team that got the highest score. And I think the test was too easy. And of course I corrected myself. I said, no, that's because I have very bright students. I said, no, let's be proud. Yes? You want now the means? No, you're not going to. The suspense is overwhelming, right? Is that what you're telling me? All right. being that we have equal opportunity, and there is more of you and only one of me, speaking of power, I can just see you coming over and clunk right on top of me and say, get my midterms. I figure I better do it before I go through that. Okay, group one. Where's group one? This way also. Where is group one? Oh, that is your name in this class. Did you know that? Now you want me to go into detail? Group one I have, which is good. I hope you understand the way I pronounce it. Mr. Kong, but there's more than one probably. The first name is S.H. Shui? Okay, that's group one. Where's group one? You're part of group one. That's good. And then I have, okay, I see it. Let's see. He Sung. Who's He Sung? Boy, you're supposed to be together. Okay. Bing Wang. Okay, that's two of you sit together. And then I have Shang Zhang. Okay. I think you have the same last name. I mean, I know it's easier for me. I guess it's like the Jones and the Smith and stuff like that, okay? Oh my goodness, what happens if I get hurt over here? Okay, group 13, Elizabeth Satter. Where is it? You're not. Elizabeth? Oh, when did you have surgery? Okay, Stephanie Victor. Stefan. I knew it. Okay, he, I guess, changed too. Arash? Where's Arash? Where's all these people of your team? For what? To accept the grade? Yeah. And then I have Travis. That's an easy name for me. Where's Travis? You have nobody in your team.
He's a strong member.
So he should be the only one to get the grade.
Everyone else gets zeros.
He was Savon like a 300.
Did you do the exam all by yourself?
No.
Don't let him lie to you.
My goodness, maybe I should take attendance more often. Okay. I'm treating you as adult. Smart adult. Okay. Group 12, I have Jing Li. Good. And I have John. How you pronounce your Meg? I'm just going to call you handsome. Okay. Then I have Sang, SFG, Mr. Sang. And then I have, Emmanuel D. My goodness, you really are together. Okay. And then I have Howard. Yeah, I know him. It's true. It's true. That's why when I give you the cases as a group, I mean, I like the tables, but...
Yeah, we did tables.
But you know who designed these classes? Not a professor, and not the students. Some president. Okay. Group 11, Jana. Where's your team? Are they here?
Ready for dinner.
Oh, oh, they are cooking tonight, huh? Okay. Group 10, I have Mike Knoll.
Yes.
Where are you?
Right here.
And Joyce? Okay, so I'll give to the lady first. It's easier for me. I don't have to go up there. Are you kidding? That's my purpose. Okay, and then I have, let's see, group 9, which is David.
Which David?
I know, there's Nardi. Christopher? Chris? You mean group 9 is not even here? Matthew?
Which Matthew?
Matthew Emker. Matt Emker. Yeah, group 9 is not even here. Kevin Clayman is not here. I know, he sits over there. And, oh my goodness. Sevalod? Whoa, group 9 is not going to get it. I should take attendance more often. Okay, group 7, I have Nuka. A-L-I-G-B. Amanda. Oh, that's easy for me to remember. Amanda is here. Good. And she, and we're taping all this stuff. I should not do this. And then I have Jared. That's what I thought. And then the other one, David Gold. I know your team. And then I have the other one, Jack.
Doug's
Yes.
socializing over there.
Yeah, he came in. I think he just came in. And then I have group 5. I have shooting tank. Oh, yes. I thought that was you. Just give this to the lady. And then I have group 4. I have Kiara. Where's Kiara? Oh, good. That's a nice name. Thank you, parents, for giving you that name. Group 3, I have Eric. Eric Kim. Where's Eric? Then I have Jeffrey. Don't tell me nobody on group 3 is either. Oh, good. Oh, thank you. At least one person.
I know, I went to the bathroom.
Yes. Okay. I think he's going to
What's
the...
out of 100 there?
This is 92.
Out of what?
That's, hey, oh, that's 100. It was 100 points.
Oh,
92, 100, yeah.
Okay.
And then I have group 2. I have Daniel, William, and Gary, and Michael. Where's group 2? At least one person be here of the group. At least... Group 2? You're not group 2. Group 2. Somebody... Okay, go ahead, because we're going to start. Please, you're supposed to bring your depends. Where's group 2?
Not us.
Oh, he's group 2.
Who's group 2? Group 2? You're the only one. Oh. Daniel, William, Gary. Which one? Which one? Which name? Okay, where's the other 3? They are, at least. All right, group 9 is nobody here. I guess they're in the bathroom. Then I'm going to get it. Okay.
Group 3?
I gave it to a group 3. I gave already group 3. All the midterms. Yes, I gave it.
Give us ours.
Yes, I did. It has a group 3. I did.
What group number are we? It's
Who has group 3? Everybody. I know it because I went through it.
we're Matthew, Caitlin, MJ, and Sam.
There's only one. Oh, wait a minute. You're right. No, that's
That's
group
us.
8.
That's us.
It's group 8, not group 3.
Okay.
I didn't see that. So the group 9 is not going to get it. Okay.
Okay, so we're group 3 apparently. I'm not. He said we're group 3, but
All names.
You do have group 3. I gave it to someone. I don't know who.
no, none of our groups here.
Us too.
Eric, group 3. Eric, I gave it to someone. See, was it group 3? Because I was wondering where is it. Okay. Oh, I guess I have to call the name because you don't know the names, right? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, we don't know.
And I do have the name of the groups too. Where is it?
Someone has our test.
Yes, because I know I gave it away. I mean, not to the person too. Where's? All right, let me go here. This one. I can't find it now. Whenever I look for it. Group 3, I have. Let's see. Eric Kimmer. Eric?
He's not here.
He's not here. There was another person. Jeffrey?
Yes.
That's Jeff.
And, oh, good. This is what I get to him.
And then that's
Joseph?
me, right here.
There's another person there. So that's
There's
3.
one where there's Ron. Ron's not here either. Ron Terry.
Right. Who has group 3? Maybe it's attached to someone? Somebody has group 3 on their midterms. Make sure. You know how sometimes the staples get hooked up to each one? You do have it. If somebody has group 3 exam, you definitely have it. I know I graded. Okay, you want to know your grade, group 3? Group 3, you got a 94.
Okay. We'll take it.
You're not going to even question it. I just know it because this is the grades over here. Group 3, you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Eric? Oh, you're 92. 2 points less. Sorry.
Who?
Do I have him there?
No, I'm not
92.
Eric. I'm Joe.
Well, Eric, we all got the same thing, so look at the line. That's why I had to
okay,
put the
okay,
line. And you all got the same thing as a team.
Okay, yeah,
That's why
yeah.
then the multiple choice is going to be individual.
Okay.
What is it? The highest ones were 100. Yeah, yeah. But remember, I grade on the curve, so it's not that it's so 92 is A. You know, I don't do that. I grade like something from, 90 to 100 or 89 sometime because I grade on the curve. So that's what I did last semester. I do the same thing. So at the end, when I have 86, 87, 88, 92, I try to put the 10 points. Suppose 95 to 85, then it would be A, because there's no A minus. So that's the problem. So I grade on the curve. Don't worry about things like that. So the couple of points doesn't make that much difference. Okay, are you done? You recuperated? You feeling better now? Yeah, I did that over the weekend. Are you sure that number 3, somebody did not take number 3? I know it, that I have the grades, so. The only thing I can think of that is slide off my pocketbook in the car. You know how I drive sometime and I stop the car? Midterms? No? I have group 9. Now we have on records. Nobody has group 3 exam. The students are here, but they know the grades. They got 92. Nobody has it. Please, if you find it, sometimes the staples gets connected. 24 out of 25. So, because it's not clear enough. Something, yeah, it's not that, maybe, yes, that's all. You cannot be perfect. But I know what you're saying, because suppose you have, 99, you could have been 2 on 100. Right, it's true, it's true, it's true. They must have said something a little extra there that I didn't see it over here. But don't worry, that's true. I'm causing you emotional distress, I'm telling you. Oh boy, now I have to really think about something. You can appeal the case, okay? All right. All right, let's go over. You want to go over the cases first? Is everybody back? I know it's also Thursday. I can see the difference from last semester that we used to have our class on Tuesday morning. And I see the difference on Thursday afternoon. I picked this day, so it's my fault. I'm not.
Is this because we have to go to these interviews? We have like.
What do you need? 24 hours practice? What do you do? Look yourself in the mirror and
Well, you have to. Well, I smile. Yeah, tell me
the questions. I know. And it's also you're nervous. And you don't want to start speaking another language because you're nervous. Yeah, I know. Well, you better get the job. That's all I can say. You better get the job. Okay. Let me go over at the end of the chapter. Oh no, let me go over the cases first because they're real cases. The other one is more IPOs. And I have the answers too. I got the answer. All right. Who would like to read problem 1? Of the cases, the problem 1.
Peter?
No, Cora. Yes. Yes. Please read the facts.
Okay, Cora was in Medina, and 2 business associates formed a corporation called Magenta Corporation for the purpose of selling computer services. Cora, who owned 50% of the corporate shares, served as the corporation's president. Cora wished to obtain a personal loan from his bank for $250,000, but the bank required the note to be co-signed by a third party. Cora co-signed the note in the name of the corporation. Later, Cora defaulted the note and the bank sued the corporation for payment. The corporation asserted as a defense that had exceeded his authority when he co-signed the note.
Okay, so right away you start seeing something to do with what? Corporate powers, shareholder, something like that. So you can go to the law, these are, you see the terms, power, so much, she needed this, she signed it. So did she have the power to do that? What do you think? You have to go back to, I have the answer, so. What is it? It's a he? Yeah, he. I always think a woman running the show. Okay, what do you think?
Didn't have the authority.
Cora he did not have the authority? And then, of course, if he doesn't, why not?
Ownership.
So he would be 51%, right? He'd have majority interest, majority share.
Could be. That would be something to argue that would come up. Anybody has any suggestions? Or you cannot think about it? Because you don't have the law in front of you, I understand. Now, sometimes your chapter summary might help you. But let me give you what the court decided in this case, which was not too bad because it's a small decision, and I made a summary. It could be argued that Cora exceeded his authority, I was going to say, his authority when he co-signed the note on behalf of the corporation. Because many times you're going to see sometime contract, you see people signing their name on behalf of the corporation. Be very careful when people sign like that because you want to make sure that that person that signed like that has the authority to sign on behalf of the corporation. On behalf of the corporation. So this is the board of directors of a corporation delegates the authority to what? To transact all ordinary business. So right now you hear something. The board of directors is the one that writes policy. The board of directors is the one that delegates who has authority. The board of directors, and of course they're the one that what? Manage here. Manage. So how much money goes here? Who has the authority to do this? How many people should we hire? That kind of thing. This is so important. The corporation to the president. If co-signing a note for a personal loan is not ordinary business of the corporation, then the board, as a principal, must what? Ratify the act. What does that mean? The board has to do what? Ratify what? Accept it. It has to accept it. There is no indication in this question that the board did so in this case. Does it make any sense? And the real might cause a little bit more. Right. And of course depends on what? Somebody in the board of directors that hates her or hates him.
But he has enough shares to make sure that it doesn't happen.
That's true too. That would be a good argument. Yeah. Because he has more share. But that would be something personal or ethically, not so much legally. You know. But that's something that would come up because that could not be accepted in a court of law. You see what I'm saying? But I'm pretty sure that that's why the board of directors accepted. Because of that. And then of course look at the revised Business Model Act, you know, Model Business Act, because they give you instructions even how to do this kind of thing, especially when there's nothing written in the Articles of Incorporation. The second problem, which is a little bit more complicated, even if it's short facts. Lucia has acquired one share of common stock of a multi-million-dollar corporation with more than 500,000 shareholders. Lucia ownership is so small that she is wondering what her rights are as a shareholder. For example, she wants to know whether owning this one share entitles her to 1, attend and vote at shareholders meetings, 2, inspect the corporate books, and 3, receive yearly dividends. Okay, so what are you going to go?
1 and 3 are yes, right?
Number 1 is what?
Yes.
Yes.
Does have a right.
Where you can go where? You can go in your
Yeah.
shareholders have a...
It might not be significant, but she has the option.
Okay. All shareholders have the right to exercise what? The ownership and control and the power to vote their shares. No problem there. What about the second one?
Inspect corporate books? Like, what does...
Inspecting the corporate books and stuff. As a general rule, shareholders or their representative have a right to inspect the corporate books and records for a proper purpose upon making a request in advance.
So they need a proper...
So that means, right. Good luck. Yes? Because there's always going to be that person who's going to say, no, I don't want to. What she wants to know, he wants to know. Oh, she only has one share. Forget it. Ignore it.
Well, I don't think they would want their stuff out in the public.
No.
You know, and who are these users and what are they using them for?
Especially one share. What she wants to know.
But yeah.
What she wants to know. Especially if the shareholders are all guys. There's only one woman. Yeah. I mean, no, this is, but she has to request it. And and like you said before, you know, they probably want to know why, how come. Okay, what about the third one?
Yes.
Yes.
Letter.
Yeah. Now, I have to tell you something else that I know, you know, and this is, as a general rule, I love the way that the court raised it. General rule. Many times, I knew it as a corporate attorney. We used to have two files. One file where the employee could come and see the file, inspect the records, and another file that
Confidential.
this is the things. Why? And you know what the reason when I would ask is, oh, they won't understand. They won't understand. Don't be surprised if the Board of Education does that according to your children's situation. They have two folders, one for you to see it as a parent, and one only for them. We did it in a corporation, and we're going to do it, and we did it. And why? And it's maybe they're right. Maybe we won't understand it because we're emotionally about our children and employees, you know, especially want to inspect and I know it. And it's very interesting. And of course now that the email is discovery, be very careful with the email. They are very careful with the email.
You have to.
We're doing that. It's something that email was fun. Now we even have the spell check.
Liability.
Spell check even for that. Be very careful. Any questions about that? Because these cases went to court. They do. Because all at once, how come this? But this one she's just asking, so there was no court in that one. All right, problem 3. Who would like to read it? Because this is now a little longer. Dana, thank you.
In 1978, David Brandt and Dean Somerville incorporated Polislog, is that how you say it?
PPI.
PPI, to make and market bearing pullers. Each received half the stock. Initially operating out of McHenry, North Dakota, PPI moved to Cobberstown, North Dakota in 1984 into a building owned by Somerville. After the move, Brandt's participation in PPI diminished and Somerville's increased. In 1998, Somerville formed PLMFG as his own business to make components for the bearing and pullers and sell the parts of PPI. I think that's a conflict of interest. The startup costs included a $450,000 loan from Cheyenne Valley Electric Cooperative. PPI executed the loan documents and endorsed the check. The proceeds were deposited into the account for PLMFG, which did not sign a promissory note payable to PPI until 2000. When Brandt learned of PLMFG and the loan, he filed a suit in North Dakota state against Somerville, alleging a part breach of fiduciary duty. What fiduciary duty does a director owe to his or her corporation? What does this duty require? And should the court hold Somerville liable? Why or why not?
Yes, Jim.
Okay,
Should
crack
take
at this one. Yes, you did breach it.
Okay, what's a fiduciary duty?
It
You have to
is,
define it first.
Fiduciary duty is like a role that you owe to
Everything to the corporation.
the corporation, and it's like a duty
Nothing
of
for
care.
your own interest.
Right, nothing for your own interest, but it could be your own interest as long as you disclose that to the other members of the corporation.
Okay, all right,
Right.
I'll accept
So
that.
let's have- okay. And the reason why he did breach this duty, not only was he not loyal to his partner, Brandt, but also he did not disclose his other,
His own
his
business.
own business. Had he disclosed that information, then that would have been okay, and they could have voted, and he probably would have been denied. But because he did not, breached it.
So is he going to be liable,
Oh,
Summer,
absolutely.
for all the money?
Oh,
I hope. Boy, she's a lower court and I'm the appellate court, and then I reverse because I don't think Jane is correct, right? We can do
I
that.
wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, how many agrees? Does it make sense the way she explained? Because that's not one of the first thing you have to divide. Fiduciary duty is very, very important. I have a fiduciary duty as I'm not a partner, but as an attorney we have, because I have a fiduciary of the clients because we're dealing with a lot of money that I cannot say certain things. And also, even sometime when you're asking some advice, I have to be very careful, because if I give you incorrect advice, guess who's liable? So fiduciary, I have to be careful. When I think of something, I have to remember, with the law firm, and not so much for me, oh, it looks like I'm so smart, what a good attorney, I know the answer. I have to remember, is this okay? Because in case it's not correct. This is why sometimes I don't want to give you the answer right away, because I'm not sure. I think I know it, but I might want to make sure, because sometimes it's that one word that makes a difference, that kind of thing. So let's see what happened here. Duties of directors and officers. And as soon as you read the facts of the problem, you should right away say, okay, what is the duty? And see if you can visualize when you take the CPA or even your multiple choice final exam. These words put you right away that you know where to look in the textbook to answer the question of the multiple choice, because of these terms right away does. The fiduciary obligation of undivided loyalty imposed on directors and officers prevent them from appropriating a business opportunity. As an attorney, I hear of business opportunity. I hear it. And it's so interesting, because I might do it without even intention, and I might talk to my son about it, and next thing you know, he might be doing something, or a friend of his might be doing something, and that is also insider trading, and I can get into a lot of trouble. Sometimes we don't realize what we say or do, even if it's with my own family. And not that I think that he's going to do the business, but I don't know, maybe he's going to go to his friend, and his friend's going to do it. Oh, my mom just told me, this company is going to do this, and they are going to be the attorney to do the closing. They buy some property, and they're going to have this, and they're going to have, maybe we should, do something and buy a house around us here. You have no idea how information like that can make somebody else to do something about it, invest on it, and then, become. And there are cases that, again, you knew or should have known. If you don't want to have an information be told to someone, then don't tell it. As soon as you tell one person already, you're violating the fiduciary duty. This is as serious as thing is. And it's getting more serious now with all the corruption we have. Okay. A corporate...
Right?
Yes, you put it now. I'm going to give you the opinion summary. A corporate opportunity exists when a proposed activity is reasonably related to the corporation business, and is one in which corporation has the capacity to engage. This is all part of the fiduciary duty. And you're going to be as a CPA, you're going to have that. You're going to hear that. That's why they're coming to you to see what kind of money, how can they do it. And they're going to tell you what's the project. They're going to tell you what to do. And you're going to be tempted, to share with somebody, significant other, or somebody but it's not so much you because you know better, but it's the other person that's going to hear. Even on the phone, even talking, even a grandmother. Who knows? Nowadays, these older people are tricky. Okay, because, Social Security is not there, and Medicare might be gone, so they want to have every penny. So here, PPI had a corporation opportunity, making his own parts. This opportunity was reasonably related to its business, and it had the capacity to take advantage of the opportunity and the financial ability to do so, as shown by the fact of the loan arranged by PLMFG. The court held Somerville liable. His involvement with PLMFG constituted a wrongful appropriation or, also perping, of PPI corporate opportunity and a breach of Somerville fiduciary duty to the corporation. And, this fiduciary duty is very important. We have a lot of problem in that area. What's something on behalf of the company or, yours. For example, I have to do a lot of things on behalf of my mom because she has dementia, she cannot, and I have to call and I have to make decisions. I don't like the responsibility, especially knowing that if she dies, my sister's going to come after me. She's going to want to know every penny. I know it. She's that kind of a person. I already know. I'm getting ready for that. So the sooner I spend all her money, the better it is. So I'm asking Mom stay alive a couple of more years. Then everything is gone. I want to say, that's it. It's all used up. Zero? How to zero? And she shows a record. That's all there is to it. But you have to be careful. especially in a business and a CPA. You're going to be dealing with a lot of money. At least I hope you do. Yeah, at least I hope you do. Okay, number 4. Oh, that's who would like to read number 4? If you're closer, those up there I can even hear because I'm becoming blind. Thank you. David's going to do it. He has a good loud voice.
Charles Brooks began working as an independent supplier for Georgia Pacific, LLC, when the paper products manufacturer acquired a mill in Crossett, Arkansas. Brooks soon organized Charles Brooks Co. in corporate form. Each of the parties' contracts provided there is absolutely no guarantee as to the amount of work to be performed. Charles Brooks Co. borrowed funds to buy new equipment. When Georgia Pacific reduced the quantity of timber that it bought from the supplier, the firm wasn't able to pay its loans. In 2002, some of the new equipment was returned to the seller. The rest was sold, but the proceeds were not enough to eliminate the debt. The same year, the Arkansas Secretary of State revoked Charles Brooks Co.'s corporation status for non-payment of franchise taxes. In 2006, Charles Brooks Co. filed a suit in a federal district court against Georgia Pacific, alleging breach of contract. Can the plaintiff maintain the suit?
Okay. That's a little bit more complicated. There's something to do with what? Termination here, right? The state is, so you have to look into the termination and all the different procedures. You know, these are the things that gives you a little sign. This is about a car that was removing. That means you die. You die at a corporation. Can they just do things like that? Can the state do something like that? Or is it a breach of contract? You know, this is one thing at a time. I want you to see that. What do you think? Is it a breach of contract? Is it a voluntary dissolution or is it involuntary? Involuntary. So right now you're narrowing down things. Right? You're going to go look into an involuntary dissolution because that looks like it's forced. So what do you think? When somebody is dead, can they initiate a lawsuit?
Okay, well, that settles it.
You know, it's amazing sometimes because, you know, and this is why sometimes when people in the family is going to die, and then the best way, and just, I got somebody at this morning on NJT, they were talking about family members, and next thing you know, there is some problem. I said, well, did you probate the will? No, and I said, well, you're going to have to probate the will because when you probate the will, then that person becomes a new person under the name of estate. Estate of, for example, Diana Walsh. I'm not anymore Diana Walsh. It's a new person. You're getting a new identity. You're getting a new Social Security, if you want to call it. You know, then, okay, then you can sue because there's otherwise, if there is no probatable will, there's nothing. Oh, that means I have to go to court. Yes. Does she has a will? Yes, but I don't know what it is. And I hope it's original, too. And when you're going to have a corporation, you better be careful. This is family problem. And I don't know how they're going to solve it. But when you have a lot of money involved, something like that. So, but let's see what the court says here. An organization whose corporate charter has been revoked cannot initiate a lawsuit. Generally, when the Secretary of State revokes a corporate charter, the corporation ceases to exist legally because the paper makes a corporation alive. Otherwise, forget it. A corporation cannot file a complaint in court after it ceases to exist because it lacks the capacity to sue. I guess so. You're dead. You know, you don't have the consent. You know what I'm saying? That makes sense to me. Here, Charles Brooks Company charter was revoked for a failure to pay the firm franchise taxes in 2002. The firm never attempted to reinstate the charter. Thus, at the time the complaint against Georgia Pacific was filed in the federal district court in 2006, Charles Brooks Company did not have the capacity to initiate lawsuit. The court in this case, on which this problem is based, reached the same conclusion. They went to the appellate court too. They claim. So on appellate court, they affirmed the lower court. They went also because I guess they felt I'm still alive. Here I am. You know, I'm coming here. But the corporation is not alive. This is why you have to see the corporation completely. And this is why most people do incorporate, because then and you know what? You had that in one of your textbook. I remember, like Givaudan, the holding company was in Delaware. And what that means, the holding company then is holding all these companies together. So whenever they come up with a new product, they set up a company. So that then when someone gets hurt by the product, whether it's chemical, flavor, whatever it was that Givaudan used to manufacture, the company that is manufacturing the product will be sued. Not Givaudan, not the holding company. And of course, because it's a new company, and they only do that, they don't have that much money to sue. What is it? Yeah. And we have a problem because more and more companies now going outside to manufacture because they're cheaper to do there. We are more like a service. But that word holding, and I remember Roche was really the holding company. And we used to call it Big Brother because Roche was, and Roche and Givaudan used to do a lot of things together. And it was interesting because of that, because we used to do the papers and stuff like that. And I thought, anything to limit liability, remember that. We do business all the time. It's when somebody's accusing you that you are liable, that's when you have to look for, say, okay, the definition of terms. Am I really a shareholder? Am I really a director? Am I really have the power? What about the money? And you're going to have to make the decision. You're going to have to make a decision. Because sometimes I had young people, just like you do, that want to set up a corporation. And they say to me, it just started a business. It just started. He just started in a sense like he has this idea. So he wants to put the idea on paper. So one of the things he calls me right away, he says, do I have to set up a company? Not yet. Not yet. Do you have any income coming? Do you have anything? No, not yet. Don't go in to set up a company. Well, I'm afraid to get a lawsuit. I says, after you start having some money, because even if you're not incorporated, and you're just making a little bit of money to pay the rent or the bill or whatever it is, even if they sue you, there's no money. There's no money. Now, if you have a couple of houses and you got kids and college and all that kind of thing, then maybe you should, because in case somebody sue you, you don't want them to take your house away. But when you start a business, the house money, it's peanuts comparing with the result of later on in the business. So I wouldn't make that the first worry as much as being a good salesperson to sell the product that you are going to sell, so that because you need to sell. Otherwise, if you cannot sell, you have to sell yourself. You have to, interviewing, you're selling yourself. You're selling yourself. You're valuable. And I want you to remember that you are valuable. Just come into school and get your degree and get the salary. You are valuable. You don't have to be arrogant about it. But you're valuable. And always make them feel like if they don't hire you, they're going to lose money. If we can get that message across, it's very important. All right. Anything else? Because we can go to the each chapters. That's an hypo, which is not as complicated as a case, and then you're dismissed. You might go home by 3 o'clock. You know what can happen then? I wonder if I have to take some money out of my paycheck and return it to Rutgers. I did that for hours. I'm going to tell them that, you're going to get ready for the interview. I have to find some good reason. It was too cold, something. I don't know. Okay, let's go into chapter 34. I put the pages on the board. Does it help you when I put an outline? I'm trying to make something that sounds so complicated, more visual and more tangible, or something that you can have a picture in your mind that makes sense to you. And then you can put the little pieces together a lot easier than start speaking to you like the book. Okay, all right, let's go into the chapter 34. Who wants to read that one? Howard. Now I pick you. See what happens when you sit in the front? Not only do you remember the name, but also I see you right here with the book. Okay, page 34, page 753. The reviewing problem. Here we go.
Chickasaw. Sole shareholder and manager of Chickasaw Club Incorporated, an S-corporation that operated a popular nightclub of the same name in Columbus, Georgia. Sharp maintained a corporate checking account, but paid the club's employees, suppliers, and entertainers in cash out of the club's proceeds. Sharp owned the property on which the club was located. He rented it to the club, but made mortgage payments out of the club's proceeds and often paid other personal expenses with Chickasaw corporate funds. At 12:45 a.m. on July 31st, 2005, 18-year-old Aubrey Lynn Pursley, who was already intoxicated, entered the Chickasaw Club. A city ordinance prohibited individuals under the age of 21 from entering nightclubs, but Chickasaw employees did not check Pursley's identification to verify her age. Pursley drank more alcohol at Chickasaw and was visibly intoxicated when she left the club at 3 a.m. with a beer in her hand. Shortly afterward, Pursley lost control of her car, struck a tree, and was killed. Joseph Dankhoff, Pursley's stepfather, filed a tort lawsuit in the Georgia State Court against Chickasaw Club Incorporated and William Sharp seeking damages. Using the information presented in the chapter, answer the following questions.
Okay, one of the first thing you have to put it there. Who's the owner? Who's responsible? Who does? You know that this happens all the time. What is he doing? He owns the property. He's renting it to the club. In the meantime, he what? He's what? The corporation, right? So you see something that, something here that looks like a conflict of interest, you want to use it, right? Red flag goes in. It's an S corporation. So you're going to have to go and find out the duties and the obligation. And also, and of course, what kind of corporation is it? But he's a sole shareholder. All right, so next thing you know, we know he's a sole shareholder, but he also has an S corporation. So you have to go into the S corporation. There's a lot more paperwork. And then next thing you know, it looks like he's also managing, because what is he doing? Paying the employees. He's collecting rent, and he's paying. I don't think the cash is not a problem, except probably, he pays less to people because it's cash, so they don't have to pay all the other taxes. That stuff going on. So these are the things you have to put the picture in your mind of really what's going on. Because of the position they hold and not so much the names. Okay, first question, Howard, what is it?
Under what theory might the court in this case make an exception to limited liability of shareholders and hold Sharp personally liable for the damages? What factors will be relevant to the court's decision?
Okay, so what happened over here? He's a sole shareholder. Can the court pierce the veil? Because who's the corporation? He is the one, right? And next thing you know, what happens? He's paying cash. He's getting rent. He's renting as a sole the corporation. So he's the only one that has the money there. There's no other shareholder. So can the court pierce the veil? Because that's something important that we have. Because you can see that. What do you think he set up the corporation? Protection, right? Yeah. Especially when he pays the guys. As soon as I saw that, I underlined cash. That is, he has not clear. He has no clean hands here. We have such a term like that in contract. So the answer.
He's not personally liable.
Yeah, pierce veil he will. So next thing you know, the court will be likely to pierce the veil of the corporation and hold Sharp personally liable. He's the only shareholder. And he set up the corporation, why? Not to be liable. So next thing you know, here we have somebody drunk, somebody causing a problem, they suing the corporation, and you can say, there's no money in the corporation. Because really, the corporation should be suing. He pays cash, I'm outside. I'm the only one, but I'm a shareholder. Remember, it's the corporation that's getting sued. So by piercing the veil, they're making what? Him liable. There are cases where the corporation and the shareholders are liable. That 1 or 2 out of 10 or something like that. Very interesting because of that. Because the one case that comes in my mind is illegal immigrants. Very important. The company hire, and of course, it has nothing to do with the shareholder. The shareholders elect or appointed the members of the board of directors. So the board of directors and the officers are managing the corporation. And it's never that one company. That one company that I'm thinking about it. The second one was the one that was, they were the, I guess like to get people to work, an employment agency. And what they did is they were hiring illegal immigrants and give it to the company. And of course, the illegal immigrants, the few of them got hurt, workers' comp. And workers' comp, then the company has to pay. They have insurance for that. And of course, right away, we don't have to pay because really they are not what? Employees. This is the hot issue. We don't have any more issue much between men and black people and female. You know, we seem to have learned now not to do those things. Now the big discrimination issue is illegal immigrants. And so all at once then the illegal immigrants goes to court. Now under the Constitution they have a right because it says we the people. It doesn't say we only the legal people. It says we the people. So that means also illegal immigrants have access to the court. Okay, so they go to court and you see the two corporations are fighting. Well, I did not hire them. I did not hire them. The company hired them. You know, duty, 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 duty. And next thing you know, the shareholders and the company. First of all, the shareholders were negligent, but not to what? To find out what's going on. Because this is the lawsuit. Now, do you know any of this stuff's going on? Of course it is going on. You know, it's you only hear of those cases that goes to court. Now, is it convenient for you to go to court and continue to hire illegal immigrants? Well, that's your decision. Because maybe with all the money you're saving by not paying them full income or whatever it is, maybe it's still worth it. I don't know. But I just want you to know that there's a lot of this stuff going on. And you have to be careful because you can't think or covered everything. But you know, if it's illegal because, and of course a corporation has to comply with federal laws, state laws, local ordinance. There's a lot of, this is why they have an attorney, a department of attorney. That's why they have it, because every day we used to read these laws and try to do something about it because there's too many laws, plus all the other laws, like some of them you already heard. But these are the things that I want you to share with us. Okay, question number 2, what was it? Suppose that Chickasaw Article of Incorporation, that's the agreement now between the people, but of course it was only the only shareholder, so failed to describe the corporation purpose or management structures are required by state law. Would the court be likely to rule that Sharp is personally liable to Duncan's on that basis? Because there's nothing. How many times I hear that? Well, there's nothing on the agreement, I guess it must be okay for me to do it. That's where ethics comes in. I hear that. There's nothing on the agreement, so I guess it's okay to do it. Sometime even the court, well, you know, if Congress wanted, then they wouldn't make the law. In one case that I can think of, we have the Sarbanes-Oxley case. And that came up, it was very interesting because the principal company was in Boston, Massachusetts. And they had a subsidiary in Brazil. And an employee in the subsidiary of this company in Massachusetts saw all the corruption going on, and of course the Sarbanes Act is about finances and stock prices and accounting, okay? So he files a suit under the Act, SOX, I hate that. It reminds me of SOX. Anyhow, and I'm thinking, I'm not talking about SOX, I'm talking about, but that comes in my mind right away. And next thing you know, what happened is the thing is suing under that, and guess what? This was annoying. It was a landmark case. All at once, the justices start saying, well, I don't think we have authority because he's not an American citizen. He's a citizen from Brazil, and we have international law. We have no right to interfere and tell, what to do because our laws covers only what? And so if you see it that way, I have no problem. I agree with you. Our laws, we should not enforce our laws in other nations. However, if you read the statute, it says that this is to protect investors. To protect investors. It doesn't say only investors that are born in the United States. And also the statute or the whistleblower does not say that this protects only American employees. My argument, and of course this was a landmark case, and you see it, and the justice said, well, the statute doesn't say that we are responsible for, international companies, subsidiary and another thing. So because it doesn't say anything, so he's not protected. And this is where this question comes up, because one of the things that I know, we have active court and we have passive court. And the extreme is terrible. The passive court doesn't do anything, always find excuses. Oh, well, the Congress, the legislation doesn't say anything about, whistleblower protecting employees that are born in another country. So that means it doesn't cover. And then you have the active court that makes the law. And that's no good either, because they're not supposed to make the law. Who's supposed to make the law? Legislation. And why? Because we elected. And they're writing the law for us. And the judge, Supreme Court does not have any authority to do that. None whatsoever. But you always have, some ambitious, judges that say, they want to get the name on the paper, I guess, I don't know, something like that, or maybe. But I want you to understand that, because you're going to come across things like that, where there is not in there in the statute. That's where your ethics has to come in. And I had the president of Enterprise Rent-A-Car to speak at NJT, one of the student, one of the class, and that's exactly what he was sharing, about the Toyota situation. He's the president of the company, and he was saying how here comes that Toyota, we're having problem because of the gas pedal, do you remember? And next thing you know, he has 50,000 cars here in the New Jersey area. Why should he do? Because he says, the government did not recall the cars. Because if the government recalls the car, then he will stop it, because the government's going to give him money for the losses. But if the government does not recall, it's his losses. And he's trying to figure out, what am I going to do now? What am I going to do here? Reputation, value. Should I say, no, that's okay. It's only, he decided to stop. He said, well, I was a private company, therefore it was more my decision to do that. So we did not rent the cars at all. 50,000. That's ethics. It did not comply with the law. It did not wait until the government recalls, Maybe nothing would happen anyhow, but he had to make and you're going to have situation as a company, as a corporation. You're going to when you're going to come to that level, you're going to have to, and of course not everybody's going to like you either. They're going to think, oh, how selfish you are. I know it, because I hear it. And it's a big, and we have something also in a little corporation that I'm working as a law office. We had an attorney that really should not be practicing law. Really should not practice the law. And next thing you know, she left because we asked her to leave. And next thing you know, she opened her own place, working from home. And I'm saying so many times, should we call the Bar Association? Because really she should not be practicing law. She lied. That she had the license and she did not have it. And when you hire people, we are small. We don't have a human resource department that does all kinds. This is why people does all kinds of research now. Because people lies in the resume, people lies on that they have a license but they don't have a license. And you say, oh, good, because we need another lawyer to do the work. You know what I'm saying? And we did. And next thing you know, as time went on, we found out that it wasn't. How did we find out? I don't know. But the partner says to me, I don't know if we should do that. I think we should call the Bar Association. Now, what's my responsibility here? Why am I my responsibility here? Report it to the bar, And then and what's my excuse now? Well, I'm not a partner. I'm only an employee. I think the partner should do it. You see what I'm saying? Is it really, who cares? Does it say only partners are supposed to call the Bar Association? You see what I'm saying? And we do that. And it's, what is it? Plausible, but not necessarily true. Because deep in my heart, just the fact that I bring it up again, does that mean that it bothers me a little bit, that I'm concerned? Yeah. Otherwise, I wouldn't even talk about it. But it does concern me, it does. But then who's going to make the phone call? And I was thinking, maybe I'll tell the receptionist. Because she's going to say, oh, Bar Association, we're getting mail here from her, and she's not an attorney, so, I'm thinking, but then she might say, how much money? You know, and that's bribery, so I say, I'll forget it. I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Okay, number 3. Did we do number 2? Number 3. Suppose that, did I give you the answer? Oh, no, I did not. Sharp is likely to be personally liable based on a piercing the corporate veil due to ignoring the corporate form. Technical details in the Articles of Incorporation alone would not be likely to result in liability being imposed. The fact that the entire operation ignored the corporate status matters more in losing the liability shield. The fact that he completely even ignored, even more he's liable. And how many times we think of that? If I don't get involved, I'm not liable. Don't tell me. The less I know, don't tell me. I love that. Don't tell me. Many times I says, yes, I will tell you. Because if I'm going down the drain, you come in with me. Oh, you're selfish. Yes, I am selfish. So number 3. Suppose that the club extend the credit to its regular patrons in an effort to maintain a loyal clientele. Although neither the Article of Incorporation nor the corporate bylaws authorize the practice, would the corporation likely have the power to engage in this activity? Yes and no. It depends. You can be safe with that. What happened here? Yes? It's because they're doing something, they're already existing, even though, or is it? Yeah, that could be. Advertisement and be nice to, so you want to make sure so you have a steady income. Well, let's see what they say over here, because extending credit to customers is a normal business activity, just like you mentioned. And it is not improper. Remember, money is freedom of speech. Okay, such details need not to be discussed in the Article of Incorporation. Because what is it doing? It's trying to keep up with the business. It's trying to do special things. You have to be careful, because then we have the other thing, bribery, you know what I'm saying? So I guess it depends on the amount of money. If you start giving, $50,000, maybe this is definitely, but maybe if you give $10 or free drinks, or come in the first 10 drinks or first 5 drinks but then the only thing I can think of now, suppose you have something like that. The first 5 drinks are free for new customers, and then you go out the bar or the restaurant driving intoxicated. Well, it was free. I'm not responsible. Are you kidding? He will be responsible, because I can think of something that happens. You're responsible. It was free. They didn't have to. They had a choice not to. Are you kidding? Doesn't the free part make you drink even more? And that's happened with salesperson. A case was in a salespeople. When a company make initiatives so you sell more things. This was very interesting, to sell more things, and they're going to. That's just why we don't do that anymore. We don't give any more incentive, like an award to do things. And in this situation, it was interesting because they made an incentive that the more cars they sell, they're going to have more money as a gift and bonus, stuff like that. Now, what happened is this particular person must have been arrogant, because he was bragging about all the cars, that he's selling. And this particular time that the incident happened, he went in a parking lot and he was, I am so blessed. I saw so many cars today, and apparently the other guy wasn't. So the guy punched him. And of course he fell down, hit his head on the car, and the pavement was hard, so it was pretty bad. Okay, and next thing you know, workers' comp. First of all, the employer, did you think the employer came and the guy that is injured, which is the employee, the big mouth salesperson, is suing the company under workers' comp, because the company starts saying, the incident happens in the parking lot. And it was what? Between friends, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't work-related, it was something, it was just sharing, I saw 100 cars, in the car. So it's no workers' comp. What do you think the court did? If it wasn't for you having that incentive, that wouldn't have happened. Don't think of something that might harm someone else. That's really what the court is saying. Now, does this thing stop happening? No. But I know more and more corporations does not give you this kind of incentives. You know, encouraging sell people to do that. I remember the time a couple of years ago, delivering pizza, Diamond, yeah, so many minutes. Forget it, they don't do it anymore. A car accident. If it wasn't you, people got hurt because he had to what? Yes. Next thing you know, he's hitting all kinds of cars. You know what I'm saying? And they say, wait a minute. Maybe it's okay to have cold pizza because look at the people now we have to what? Pay liability. So they don't do that anymore. I mean, some of the stuff, sometimes I hear it and you say, oh, what a good idea. No, I don't think I don't know. But then if I stop them, business will never happen. You will be afraid to leave the house. You know? So that's why sometimes, you know, the less you know, maybe ignorance is a blessing, you know, maybe. Okay, number 4. Did I tell you that?
Got this one.
Oh, how would you, Jenny, you want to read it? Do you know the answer?
How would the court classify the Chickasaw Club Corporation domestic or foreign? Domestic.
Or is it public or private? There's more.
Private?
Private. So, but in Georgia, it is domestic, and it was this is, which I find it very interesting because we don't use that much but we do use like domestic and international. We don't use alien and foreign things. Any questions? Oh, now we have to go quicker. Page 779. Maybe the termination, I don't know, you want to speak about death of a company. It said, officers and shareholders. You start to get tired too. And I have to go to school tonight. Yeah, I have to go to law school tonight. I have to go because we have to complete 24 credits every 2 years. Yeah. But tonight is going to be nice because we're going to argue the cases that are appear by the justices of the Supreme Court of the United States. We're going to review the spring one, and we're going to talk so that we already know what the decision is going to be before the media. Like that. Because you know why? The media tells you things, but they don't tell you everything. You know, they oh, guess what happened? You know, and you go, oh yes, and then you go, but the case was dismissed. They don't tell you. You know, but they tell you what happened. You know, but they don't tell you. But guess what? The case is dismissed because there's no case. You know what I'm saying? Tell me something. Follow it up. You know. I feel like going. Okay. Oh, and this is taped. Oh my gosh. I'm going to behave. Okay. All right. Let's read about officer and shareholders. Oh, going far away. Who wants to read that? Who wants to read it? Oh, the nice. Oh, David left. You have to go to the bathroom again? Yes. Thank you. All right. Okay. It's her fault. She taped it. Go ahead, read it.
By April, the Tanning Division's financial losses had risen. The board hired a business analyst who conducted surveys and determined that the tanning operation did not significantly increase membership. A shareholder, Diego Peñada, discovered that Brock owns stock in Sungo Inc., the company from which firm body purchases tanning equipment. Peñada notified Levinson Afterwards, Brock and Mandy Vale, who owned 37% of the firm body stock and also held shares of Sunglow, voted to replace Levinson on the board of directors. Using the information presented in the chapter, answer the following questions.
Okay, number one, would you like to read that, please, Kiara?
What duties did Brock as a director owe to firm body?
Okay, so right away, just use the word duty because you know you have to focus on corporation. As a director, what kind of duties does he have? Loyalty, fiduciary duty. There's a whole list, especially in the chapter summary, there's a whole list of them. But most of it, we're talking here of fiduciary duty. So what is he doing? Is he buying something or is he running something? And he's saying that it's something to do with the tanning is something to do with the gym, I guess, if you want to call it that. So what do you think? As a director, Brooke is in a what? Fiduciary relationship with the corporation, which means that he what? He owes to what? To the gym or the firm body. The duty of care and the duty of loyalty. That's it. Doesn't say anything else. Now let's see what number 2 says. That was, as soon as you see these terms, even when you take your multiple choice, as it might, duties, directors, shareholders, you're going to see it. And right away, click to something that if I give you the practice one, you can kick with but I also want you to understand it because the term's going to come up in your mind much easier when you understand what's behind those terms. Because that's what at least that's what helps me a lot. Number 2, does the fact that Brooke owned shares in the Sunglow establish a conflict of interest?
Well, no, because it's not significant amount, right? No, I'm wrong.
Well, I can see that. That means not significant amount, it's just another service within the thing. So I can see that. Plausible, but not necessarily true. Okay, so what will be the answer here? Let's see what the court says.
Handled that one?
No. Yeah. The duty of loyalty requires officers and directors, you see what they always define the meaning first, to disclose fully to the what? To the board of directors any possible conflict of interest that might occur in conducting corporate transaction. So what's the fully disclosure here? From the fact that you might have to, you start seeing. Because Brooke failed to disclose his interest in Sunglow and continued to encourage firm body to what? Purchase teaming equipment from Sunglow, he has what? Conflict of interest. That violate is what? Duty of loyalty. It's a full disclosure. That's full disclosure. And why we don't want to disclose? And we do it. If we don't want to disclose, don't you think that means that we know it's not ethical? It might be okay because we don't have a statute that tells you to do that. And I always say, as soon as you start whispering, as soon as you start, that means something is not quite right. And especially when you're running the business, you have employees, you have people under you, they watch your behavior. And it starts from the top. I'm sorry to say, but it's not from the bottom. I know the top thinks it's the bottom. We hire unethical people. Yeah, maybe you were unethical to start with. Okay, number 3. Suppose that the firm body brought an action against Brooke, claiming that he had breached the duty of loyalty by not disclosing his interest in Sunglow to the other directors. So now as the corporation is doing something against Brooke. What theory might Brock use in this defense? He's talking about defense. What is he going to use? He's one of the person. He's a director. And we have such a thing as what? Something to do what? I love that. Business judgment rule. Very interesting. Many times I use that when my husband says, why did you make that decision? Business judgment rule. Well, that's what marriage is now, a contractual relationship, so why not? It's partnership. That business judgment rule. You're plausible, but not necessarily true. Boy, that sounds good, doesn't it? Sounds so smart, too, when you say things like that. Your friend, your brother, your sister asking you a question like your team person, business judgment rule. When you do your multiple choice, practice it. So let's see what the business judgment rule: immunized decisions that are made in good faith as long as the decision complies with the manager's fiduciary duties and was within the manager's power to make. So you define the fiduciary duty, you define that, and then you start saying, okay, let's go back to the fact and see if this is something that applies with it. Here, Brooke breached the duty of loyalty, but by not informing the other director of his interest in Sanglo. So he cannot claim the business judgment rule immunity him for liability. So here is the word business judgment. You know, this is something so important to me, because he was not one of the person that makes those decisions. Now, in my relationship with my husband, both of us are in the business of making decisions. But the kids are not, if you want to call it, even if they're adults now. They can ask us, you know, why did you do such a stupid thing? Business, no, you know, you're not partner yet. You know, you are an employee. But you see the reasoning? So you define the business. It's so important that did he have the power to make that decision? Was he involved with the decision making before they can use that defense? Usually it's only directors and officers that can use that, not somebody that is working in the thing. That's what the fact says here. All right, number 3, suppose the firm body brought an action against Brock claiming that he had breached the duty of loyalty. Did I read this one? Yes, I did. Number 4, I thought so. I'm repeating myself. Number 4, are you awake? I think we can stop after this one, because I think you are. When I read the same question and you didn't even realize I was reading the same question, that's a hint to me that you're already gone. Okay, now suppose that the firm body did not bring an action against, did not. What type of lawsuit might Pefiada be able to bring based on these facts? What was it before that I mentioned to you when I was going through the outline? Can a shareholder bring a lawsuit on behalf of the corporation because one of the directors or the officers is doing something that's fraudulent? Remember, what kind of suit is that? Yes. Yes. Very interesting. And so, you know, it's not that easy. It's not that easy because you are the one that are bringing a lawsuit against the corporation. It's not against one person. You have to think of the board of directors, you have to think of the officers, you have to think of the managers, you have to think of the employees. You know, you have to think of a lot of things. So it's not that easy, but they do have it, because the fact that they have that, what does it tell you? That means what?
It happens.
Mm-hmm. That means there are things going on, board of directors and officers, that are fraudulent or unethical or illegal. And there's always that one person, shareholder, that maybe says, you know what, I have to stop this. I have to stop. Probably is not the shareholders that have more than 50% shares. I want you to know that. And that's another reason the court knows about things like that. So it's very interesting. Well, let's see what the summary of the thing says. If the corporation does not bring suit against Brock for breaching his duty of loyalty, then Pineda, I don't speak Spanish, but I think it's Pineda, could file a shareholder directive suit to redress a wrong suffered by the corporation. Because the corporation suffered damages, there's no question about that. In other words, Pineda could file a suit on behalf of the corporation claiming that Brooks' breach of his fiduciary duty caused harm to the corporation. If the suit was successful, any damages covered would go to the what? The corporation, not Pineda. Because he's suing on behalf of the corporation, so the corporation gets the money. Does it make any sense? I hope it helps you by going through these things instead of reading a whole bunch of terms and stuff like that. Because that's me.
The application.
The application is, and by application, I know that the application helps for sure if you have cases, but I hope that the application also helps you when you take your multiple choice. Because I want you to be good accounting, good CPAs. I do. I really do. We need a lot of good employees. Maybe I do my taxes, so I want you to be good. Yeah. Any questions? It's 10 minutes after 3, so I did not stick to my promise of 3 o'clock, but we try. Any questions, objection, comment? All right, you're dismissed. Have a good weekend, and we'll do it in and I'll send you Monday. I'll send you the PowerPoint for the next class. I think it should be lighter a little bit now. And I'm working on your multiple choice, so pray for me. Yeah. See that nobody gets me upset. That nobody upset.